This is a TV show called Flashpoint. It's owned and operated on the Victory Network by Kenneth Copeland, of all people. Left to right, we've got some televangelists, Gene Bailey, Lance Wallnaw, Hank Kunneman, and Jesse Duplantis. They are most famous probably for fleecing gullible suckers out of every penny that they own. Jesse Duplantis was there, actually, when Kenneth Copeland was discussing his famous defense of having a private jet.
Now, Oral used to fly airlines,
right?
But even back there then, man, it got to the place where it was agitating his spirit,
Sure.
people coming up to him. He had become famous, and they wanting him to pray for him and all that.
Wow, poor guy. He had people around him who wanted him to pray for them. Got a feel for this Oral Roberts televangelist fella, huh? What a martyr. Who should have to put up with people asking for prayer?
You can't manage that today.
Right.
This dope-filled world.
Right.
And get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Right. That's exactly the
And
truth.
it's deadly.
And he works on you hard. It really does.
Oh boy, yeah. They talked about this together for a while. That's who that guy is on the right. Absolutely ridiculous. These people are ridiculous on every level, and they have absolutely no shame. Oh, and we're going to be playing Mario 3 on the Mario All-Stars game for the Super Nintendo. This is the one I kind of grew up playing. Fantastic game. This is actually part 2. If you haven't seen the others, don't sweat it. This stands independently of the rest. I will provide context, like if it's missing or anything. But in the previous one, they talked about one of their like producers or something getting pulled over by a cop for going 100 miles an hour. And the cop says, "Hey, I love your show that you work on. I can't believe I'm finally meeting you. That's so cool." And let the dude go. 100 miles an hour. Okay? Dude is going 100 miles an hour and the cop lets him go for political reasons. They also talked about Hunter Biden's laptop, of course. Do you think they would ever miss an opportunity to talk about that? I'm not sure what they're going to be getting into in this one, but it is bound to be absolutely absurd as usual. So let's give this a listen and see what they have to say for themselves.
Who would have ever thought, Jesse, that this is the facts are stranger than fiction after what he said about how, this is hard to believe and this is irresponsible, yet he's got this and more in his own. Do you think he knew what was going on?
I think Biden knows a lot more than people are saying.
Right. They're talking about the documents. Do you think he knew what was going on, i.e., was he completely out of it? Like, is he mentally deranged or mentally unwell or whatever? That's really the question here. They will take absolutely any opportunity they can to attack the guy's mental state, won't they? Let me just say this about Joe Biden and his mental state. I see absolutely no reason to believe that Joe Biden is mentally unwell, that he has dementia or any other thing. And what's more, I don't see any reason to believe that Trump is unwell either, honestly. Dementia, when it starts to set in, it takes about 2 years to leave stage 1, I think is what it's called. It takes 2 additional years to leave stage 2. And then 2 more years to finally lead to death in stage 3. So they, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, whoever else, they have a solid 6 years total from the moment of the very first symptom before they should be dead. We haven't seen any evidence that Joe Biden or Donald Trump are suffering with stage 3 dementia, which is what they should both be suffering with right now, if either side is to be believed. So I think that they are showing signs of old age, both Trump and Biden. Neither of them have dementia or Alzheimer's or any of that. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise as time goes on if they actually do get worse. But that's what it looks like to me so far, honestly.
I think Biden knows a lot more than people are saying. I don't mean this to sound rude, but I really believe President Biden is
Okay, every time somebody says that, they always sound rude. I don't know if that's intended or not in this case, but that's what's happening. But that's what's about to happen, I'd be willing to bet. Keep listening here.
It's a lot more than people are saying. I don't mean this to sound rude, but I really believe President Biden and his administration they are weaponized stupidity. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. They say one thing, do another, but their words come back and bite them. I believe they knew it all because, if you really think about how the Democrats work, it's pretty easy. If you think about it, they're trying to go through the documents, get them just like Hillary, trying to burn up all the 33,000 emails. And all.
Dude, I love how he's conveniently picking somebody who had questionable practices or handling documents in a questionable way. He's picking somebody other than the most recent example of it, Donald Trump. Why is he going all the way back to Hillary right now? Because he's a partisan hack, plain and simple. He is refusing to accept Donald Trump's role in mishandling documents. And aside from that, what Donald Trump did with the documents, with the classified documents, is far more egregious than what Biden or Hillary did with the documents. Hillary Clinton was, at the very least, protecting those documents. Yes, she used a private email server, but she went through a lot of precautions. She knew which software to use. She knew which IT people to use to help protect this stuff. She knew what she was doing, and she was still careful with those documents. Donald Trump, on the other hand, took documents that belonged in a secure facility and walked right out the front door with them. We don't even know what level of classification Joe Biden's documents were. I said I wasn't going to rehash this.
Let me show you what Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin had to say from that bastion of accurate media telling, CNN. Watch.
Okay, Jamie Raskin, if you're watching this 5 years in the future or something, he was one of the January 6th committee members. So he investigated Donald Trump heavily to uncover any ill will or any evil doing or whatever other thing that took place on January 6th. That's what Jamie Raskin did. So let's listen to this.
The first batch of documents was found on November 2nd, a week before the midterms, but the public didn't learn about it until it was reported in the press just this past week. And even then, the White House didn't acknowledge that a second batch of documents had been found in December until that, too, leaked. Chairman Comer has a point when he says we learned about this because CBS News reported on it, and then everybody else followed and got that information. Now we've learned they found more documents than previously.
Okay, Comer does not have a point. Comer is a partisan hack. I don't want to listen to anything that guy has to say, honestly. But, okay, let's keep listening.
Disclosed in a third location. It's hard to argue that the administration's been transparent and told the American people about this as soon as they could have.
Why? I don't understand. Why do the American people need to know much about a lawyer finding documents like that? They can just turn them over and they can handle them. And, if it requires a special counsel or a special prosecutor, okay, charge him with a crime if that's what it takes. And that's what's happening. They're investigating at the very least. They're not charging him, but they're investigating. Great. I'm happy with that. That's fantastic. What does that have to do with anything? Like, why does the public need to know? The reason the public would need to know in this guy's mind is because they want an opportunity to go on a smear campaign against, Joe Biden. I don't really care about the smear campaign angle, honestly. And they wanted an opportunity to twist this around to be comparable with what happened with Donald Trump. It's simply not comparable.
Well, of course, it was a very rapid clip at which we learned about it compared to the Trump case where he fought it for nearly a year or perhaps over a year. And the government investigators had to go to court in order to get a subpoena to go to Mar-a-Lago to get dozens of boxes of classified material and government documents that were being held down there.
Right. He fought it tooth and nail. And those classified documents that were of the highest security clearance, we're talking like, we don't know exactly what was in them, but it was stuff that wasn't supposed to leave a secured bunker. That's how high it was. This kind of stuff is either nuclear secrets or human resource data, like stuff that if it was revealed would get people killed, that kind of thing. What did Biden have? Like what were in Biden's documents? What did he take home with him? And the real question is, why did Donald Trump take this stuff home after leaving the presidency? What was he going to use this for? Biden took this stuff home while he was vice president. That makes sense. Why would Trump take this stuff home after leaving government? Really? There are so many questions to be answered here. It's absolutely bizarre. And he put it in a locked, basically a pool house or something, right next to where the pool is, or an office next to the pool. Just lots of questions, man. Lots of questions, honestly.
So, look, I don't know yet, and I'm hoping our investigations will reveal what you're supposed to do if one of these documents surfaces.
Well, we know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to talk about it and let the American people know what's going on.
No, you're not. You're supposed to turn them over to the Department of Justice or to whoever else. That's what you're supposed to do, actually. It has nothing to do with letting the American people know what's going on. What is that? Why would anybody let the American people know what's going on? That has nothing to do with anything at all. What do the American people, what role do they have to play in this whole thing? Just destroying reputations and twisting things out of proportion. That's it. It should be handed to a special prosecutor who will determine if there was wrongdoing or not, seems to me.
You know, Pastor Hank, we see this. It seems very irresponsible.
Wow, suddenly he cares about being responsible with classified documents. How about that? Suddenly he cares.
For them, and it seems like the Democrats are on the ropes. Now, let me throw something your way first and let you comment on that. It almost seems like the Democrats may be setting up Joe Biden to get rid of him. You think that could possibly be the case?
Are they implying that somebody planted these documents on Joe Biden? What? Okay, look, I'll be fair. Maybe that's not what they're trying to communicate. Maybe they're trying to say the way that the media is like outing this situation, or the way that they're talking about this or whatever. I suppose it's reasonable to think maybe the way they're talking about this could lead one to believe that they're trying to out Biden. But yeah, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. That sounds ridiculous to me.
Mm-hmm. I think what's happening also is things that God prophesied playing out. And I do think that it is a setup also that they are wanting to get rid of this whole thing with this fake administration that's going on. I think they don't have any real answers. They know that it's falling apart. But here's what God said, and this is what I want the people to be reminded of. For months that we've been coming on Flashpoint, God said you would see a great unraveling. You would see great exposures. You would see the Lord begin to take the covers and pull them off and open the curtains for all to see what is really going on. And this is what's happening right now. And then the Lord said that he would be a positive irritant in their hinder parts. And he took that reference.
A positive irritant in their hinder parts. What a phrase to utter. What a thing to say. What a thing to come out of someone's mouth, right?
Out of the Bible where the Philistines touched something of the Ark of the Covenant that God deemed sacred, and as a result, they got hemorrhoids, and they went ahead and put a golden emerald up to worship it. So God is saying, look, I'm going to be the positive irritant. I'm going to begin to show the world what I've known, what I've seen, and I'm going to show the earth truth. And so what I feel we're going to see is not only more and more things to try to, set up this fake presidency, but I also think we're going to see
fake presidency. Dude just cannot accept the fact that Biden is legally, officially the president. Honestly, embarrassing.
more and more vindication of President Trump, and that God is in fact standing with him, and for those of us who stood for the things that are important to God and that President Trump stood for. So hold on for a good ride, because things are going to swiftly change, and we're going to see some amazing, amazing things be revealed.
He just cannot give up on this, can he? Is this guy ever going to admit that he was completely full of it from the very beginning, and this is never going to happen? Trump will never be reinstated? Let's step back a little. Listen to what he said one more time here, just a few seconds.
And that President Trump stood for. So hold on for a good ride, because things are going to swiftly change, and we're going to see some amazing, amazing things be.
Okay, so he says things are going to swiftly change, right? Hank Kunneman is, I don't know, would you say famous maybe? He's kind of famous for something called the flop flip prophecy. It's a full-blown prophecy that he issued to the world, a message from God on high, that he knew God wanted the people to have this message. So he spoke it. Let's see if it ever did come true. This is from, let's see, late August 2021.
But watch, for you have heard the saying, flip-flop.
Okay, American idiom, sure.
I speak to you this day, flop, flip. You say, what do you mean? I speak flop, flip, because the agenda of hell and those who have agreed and thought that they could steal this land through your election and steal the future from your children, it shall flop. And then watch what shall arise. Whistleblowers after whistleblowers. They shall not only see that their agenda has flopped, they will begin to flip. And God said,
well, that's the flop flip prophecy. So he's saying, wait, what? Let me just, what was it exactly? Let's listen one more time.
They'll not only see that their agenda has flopped, they will begin to flip.
Who is they, I hear you asking? I'm asking the same question. I have no idea who they is. Some evildoer that wants to ruin everything for everybody, apparently.
And God says there will be a turning of my hand and a turning of their mouths. And they will speak loudly, and they will turn on one another, and they will expose one another to save what they would think their own future.
Okay, so he says evildoers, whoever that happens to be, evildoers' agenda will flop, and whistleblowers will flip. That's what he's trying to communicate here, right? You know, that was a couple of years ago now. Still waiting. Still waiting. Any minute now, right? This will happen any minute. I understand. Just absurd on every level, dude. Absurd on every level. Will he ever come back to reality with the rest of us? It sounds like he's kind of doing something similar now. He's giving us something of a prophecy, right? He's trying to communicate. Wow, I didn't know you could jump on Bowser's head like that. Wow, I didn't know Bowser could kill you after he died. God, you can die to everything in this game. Anyways, he's still going. He's still going. After that prophecy, you'd think he would learn to shut up, right? You'd think he'd learn to stop prophesying things like this.
With him, and for those of us who stood for the things that are important to God and that President Trump stood for. So hold on for a good ride, because things are going to swiftly change, and we're going to see some amazing, amazing things be revealed. And when it happens, some people...
Any minute, right? Any minute. He's been talking about it for years now, and it still hasn't happened. Weird.
We're going to go, man, I can't believe this is what was really going on.
I know, I agree. Let me read you what Mark Levin said, because I thought he did this very well, and I'll wrap up this.
I think Mark Levin, isn't he like a news broadcaster on Newsmax or something like that?
Little section right here. He said, number one, I do see a difference between President Trump and then VP Biden on classified documents. Trump's team was negotiating with the DOJ over the documents, and Biden covered up the existence of the documents for months.
Oh, really? Trump's team was negotiating with the Department of Justice over the documents, huh? And he never covered up a single instance of this? This is how you twist things around and propagandize right here. It's a perfect example of it.
Number two, the documents Trump were protected in a location that was guarded by the Secret Service. Hello, not so with Biden. One of the places where Biden kept classified documents was
Okay, that's not even true. The Secret Service doesn't keep tabs on that, like, that little office 24/7, only when Trump is around it. They weren't guarding that area? What's he talking about?
heavily subsidized, is what Lance was saying, by the communist Chinese. Not so with Trump.
One of the places Biden kept documents is subsidized by China? What? Biden's personal home, his house that he lives in, is subsidized by China? What is he talking about? This is complete nonsense, beginning to end, all of it. Well, shit, it looks like we finished Mario Bros. 3. What are we going to play next? I want something that I already know how to beat and that I can keep kind of in the back of my mind. I don't have to focus on too much. All right, let's keep listening for the moment, and at the end of this segment, I'll pick a new game. For now, I'll play Smash Bros. Oh, God, I have to insert the game card. Okay. Wait, can I just play... That's what I get for being a game collector. I don't like buying digital copies, so I have to get the fucking game cards. All right, hang on. All right, I guess we're just going to play some Super Smash Bros. For the moment till the end of this little section, and then I'll pick another game. I haven't decided on one yet.
Another difference is that Trump was present and had the indisputable constitutional authority to classify and declassify information as he saw fit. Biden, as vice president, had no such power.
Yeah, but Biden as president does have that power, huh? So he could declassify it right now if he wanted to, and it wouldn't be a problem. But did you notice that Biden, not only did Biden not cover this up, but he went as far as to tell everybody that needed to be told that he had these documents. He announced it to the world. He told everybody what was happening. He was honest about it. You know why? Because he very specifically and intentionally said he wanted to value honesty when he got into office. He said anybody who is rude to anybody else or a D-bag or any of that stuff is fired instantly. He wanted to be the exact opposite of Donald Trump because he recognizes how important it is for democracy to work with each other, to be honest with each other, to talk to each other and not be rude, not hate each other, something that Donald Trump didn't seem to value at all. So all of the values that Trump embodied are the exact opposite of the values that Biden embodied. And that includes, but is not limited to, honesty. It includes, but is not limited to, honesty, which is why we even know about this stuff in the first place. If Biden wanted, he could have declassified those documents before turning them over to the Department of Justice. Then it wouldn't have been a problem, right? I mean, there are all kinds of things Biden could have done to make this problem go away, and he chose specifically not to. He chose to be honest about things. Donald Trump, on the other hand, there's nothing that he could have done because he wasn't president when this stuff was discovered. It took years for this to come out. Years. Okay? It was really soon after the documents were discovered that the news found out about it. But the moment they were discovered, it was given over to the Department of Justice, which is who it belongs with. Department of Justice should investigate this stuff. But it's like we've been talking about this episode. We've been on this episode for, I think we're 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, how far in? 22 or 23 minutes into this episode of Flashpoint. And this is pretty much the only thing they've talked about the entire time. You notice that? You know why that is? Because that is the only angle of attack that they have that they believe will work right now. This show is nothing but Trump propaganda. That's the whole point behind this TV show. To propagandize for Donald Trump. That's it. So anything that you see or hear happening on this show is here because it helps Donald Trump. This is the angle of attack that market research, millions of dollars in market research, has shown to be effective, or what they believe will be effective. This is all they've got. The difference is between how Biden and Trump handled the documents. It's just embarrassing. The entire thing is deeply embarrassing to watch. But think about what these people say and how they frame stuff and all of it, because, you know, if we can learn something from what they have to say, it could be valuable for us. Like, we don't have the millions of dollars to spend on market research to figure this stuff out. They do. So it's deeply useful for us to listen to what they have to say, to figure out what market research shows is most likely a useful angle of attack for, you know, against Biden or in defense of Trump or whatever other thing. All right, let's keep listening.
Held classified documents for years. Lance, when we see this, and Levin put it, you know, very well, but
no, he propagandized, plain and simple. It was pure, unadulterated propaganda.
What do you...
And lies. Propaganda at best, lies at worst. Like that subsidized by the Chinese stuff. What was he even talking about? Biden's house was subsidized by the Chinese Communist Party? What?
You think the future, this story, it almost seems, Lance, like the story would have been better if they'd said, hey, we found all these documents in 4 different places and we're investigating it. And then the story would have died. But this continual drip of new places, you know, I think
dude, what are they even talking about right now? The continuous drip of new places. What?
It's a bit suspect that there's more going on here than what we see.
You know, as you pointed out, I think what's really weird is the left, the media, when you get these guys backing up, I mean, they will lie. They'll flat out, the media will cover for you and the politicians will lie. But when they start backing up, you know, they know something's coming. I'm telling you, I really do believe that the Hunter Biden laptop, 10% to the big guy thing, they know.
Dude, this is all complete garbage. This is like a nonsensical claim that Biden was being referred to on Hunter Biden's laptop as the big guy. It's complete bullshit. There's no reason to believe any of this. But they're going to repeat it as though it were fact. Of course.
Know it's going to unravel and come out. And they know 2 things. Joe is not that smart when it comes to covering up his tracks, and Hunter was a drug addict when he left all the prints. Now, here's the deal.
When he left all the prints? What? What prints are we talking about here? There were fingerprints? On what? Hunter Biden's fingerprints were on something? Like, they just brazenly, blatantly lie. Every accusation is a confession with these people. Seriously. This is insane.
The son is one of the people that had access to the documents. This is kind of weird. The son you'll find out.
Okay, by that, do you mean Hunter Biden was allowed in Joe's house? Is that what he's trying to communicate? Yeah, okay. I guess Hunter Biden was probably allowed in his dad's house, sure. I mean, isn't this like his childhood home? They're going to spin up a huge conspiracy theory out of this. Watch how this works. There's no evidence for any of it, but they're going to make the claims anyways, despite the fact that there is no evidence.
Was there. Why? Because he was renting out a 4,500 square foot house in Wilmington, Delaware for like $45,000 or $50,000 a month for 10.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me step. How much was that? Let's step back. Listen to this one more time.
one of the people that had access to the documents. This is kind of weird. The son, you'll find out, was there. Why? Because he was renting out a 4,500 square foot house in Wilmington, Delaware, for like $45,000 or $50,000 a month.
I deeply doubt it. Why would anybody rent something that expensive? This is like a $50 million house. How much is that? Let's see, $50,000 a month. I'm sorry, $18 million is how much that is. $18 million house is roughly how much that would be. 4,500 square feet for $18 million. Places in New York City aren't even that expensive. That's absurd. Well, no, I get that's probably New York City prices. He's just making these numbers up right off the top of his head. It's completely fabricated.
For 10 months. Nobody, unless you're laundering money, pays rent to their dad of $50,000 a month for a house in Wilmington, Delaware.
Dude, what's he even talking about? This is completely fabricated, all of this. That's how this works. This is called big lie propaganda. This guy is a propagandist to the core. Big lie propaganda, to my knowledge, was created by Joseph Goebbels of Hitler fame. You know, he was Hitler's propaganda minister, I think. And he invented a bunch of different propaganda techniques, one of which I think he invented was the big lie. Now, the idea behind the big lie is to come up with a detailed story, add as many details in as humanly possible. And if you can incorporate already established facts into the story, even better. But it ultimately doesn't even matter. You don't even have to be telling the truth about any of it. You can just be lying about the entire thing. The more detailed the lie, the better. Make this as detailed as humanly possible, and people will be more likely to believe it. That's the idea behind the big lie propaganda. And that sounds like what he's doing here. Is any of this even true? I haven't heard a word about this. And I watch the news probably closer than damn near anybody. I watch the news, specifically Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and Donald Trump news. I watch it like a hawk. You guys don't even know. And this seems to be this is stuff that I haven't heard a word about. So yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm just skeptical.
That, you could probably justify for $5,000 a month. What if that $50,000 for 10 months was a $500,000 payback to the big guy?
What if? You catch what he said there? What if? Who is the big guy? None of this makes any sense. In addition to not making any sense, he's just coming up with bizarre explanations and ideas for nonsense. He fabricated a fact that didn't even exist, and now he's trying to come up with an explanation for why that fact may have happened. This is how propaganda works.
For his help in getting some business in China. If any of that kind of trail is corroborated by documents that are on the laptop that happen to be tucked away in Joe's garage, suddenly this story becomes extremely significant.
It would if anything he just said was real. It is all completely made up.
That's why I think they're all being careful.
They are being careful, but I'm telling you, this is not going away. Yes, Pastor Hank, go ahead.
Yes. I want to, Lance said something very powerful, and it's right in the
No, he didn't. He said something that's a complete, flat, blatant lie.
flow. The Lord spoke a prophetic word again on Sunday that he said several years ago that there would be his finger, God's finger, that would begin to point, and it would be connected to a thumb drive that would have things that have been connected to Ukraine and to China. Now,
I remember this supposed prophecy from Hank Kunneman. He claimed that there was a thumb drive that would come to be or something like that. I forget now. Oh, God, I probably have that supposed prophecy, or if that's what he wants to call it. God, I should look that up. If I could find it, that would be awesome. Let me see. Hang on. Well, look at that. I just so happen to have the clip right here. Check this out. It's been years since I've watched this, but yeah, this is July 4th, 2021. Listen to what Kunneman said here. This is his thumb drive prophecy that he's just talking about.
And God says, listen closely this night. Not only has my finger being put upon this nation,
Not only has my finger being put upon this nation. Okay, go on. I'm listening.
look at my thumb. I am causing there to be fingerprints of evidence and trails that shall lead to their demise and to great exposure that shall bring great reversal, says the Lord. And it'll not just be my thumb, but pay attention to thumb drives that shall shift you into the momentum of what I have been declaring, that by the end of this year, you will see that I am the God that has stood by you, for you, and brought you through, says the living God.
So there is his thumb drive prophecy, I guess. Fascinating. So I guess we can expect to see thumb drives eventually, huh? So somebody says, what does he even mean by thumb drives something or other? What was it he said? Let's listen to that one more time.
There would be his finger, God's finger, that would begin to point, and it would be connected to a thumb drive that would have things that have been connected to Ukraine and to China. Now, at the
So what does he mean by all that anyways? Kind of confusing. He means absolutely nothing. This is all just ridiculous nonsense that is intended to make people think that he knows what he's talking about. It's all garbage from top to bottom. He means nothing. He doesn't even know what he means exactly.
the time that this prophecy was, we're going, well, what are you talking about? China, Ukraine. What are you talking about? A thumb drive. But there is evidence that there is a thumb drive that they got from Hunter's laptop, that they have the evidence. And I'm telling you, the American people, especially you intercessors that have been praying and you that are standing in faith, this laptop is not going to go away. And it's going to continue to be the sore subject for these Democrats. And it's God's finger. And you watch a thumb drive that God's going to continue to drive his thumb until this thing gets exposed, and it isn't going to go away. And I'm telling you, it's going to do a lot of damage, and it needs to.
Dude is completely full of it, honestly. It's embarrassing.
It sure seems that way. Jesse, what do you think? Are we going to continue to see this drip out, your opinion?
I think we're going to see more than it dripped out. I'm going to go back to what Hank was saying, is that the Philistines filled up the wells with dirt. Well, the Democrats have had a bunch of dirt in these wells, and the old faithful geysers are starting to come up, and they're going to blow all the dirt out of there. And then people are going to see what's...
Dude, what is he... I don't understand. What are you even saying, Jesse? I don't know what you're trying to communicate here, bud. Something about geysers? Something about Philistines? What?
Been going on, and you can't hide it, because once dirt starts flying, somebody's going to get muddy, and it's going to hit them because they're the ones that did it. This thing is going to get bigger and bigger than we possibly can ask or think, and it could be the catalyst to put this nation back to where God wants it to be. But I do know this, that dirt cannot stay inside of what I call old faithful geyser of truth. And the dirt...
I honestly don't understand a word this dude's saying right now. Something about a geyser, old faithful of truth. What?
It's coming out. So I believe that, see, because I consider that the Philistines, that they put dirt, this has been nothing but dirt for years and years and years. And what you sow, you're going to reap. And it's going to happen. And I tell you what, I think the Democrats going to get to a point, and you can tell when they start talking, they usually don't stumble, but they all stumbling now, trying to say something.
Dude, is he saying that Democrats are stuttering? What? Okay, I don't feel like I've had a speech problem this entire time. I guess to some degree I kind of repeat myself every now and then, so I don't know if that can count, but okay, let's keep listening.
But when your mouth is full of dirt, it's hard to speak anything.
That's good. That's great.
No, it's not. It meant nothing. What is he even saying? It's garbage.
I love that. When your mouth is full of dirt. I don't have a comment to that. All right, so but let me show you this. Those of you that are going, oh, you
don't encourage this. This is garbage.
You Christians, you guys are always, one side, not the other. Listen, it is not just the evangelical Christians. It's not the patriot, the Christian right that's saying this. Hollywood Did you hear me? Hollywood's beginning to come out. Actors are walking away from their profession because of what's going on. You don't believe me? Remember Richard Dreyfuss? Watch this.
No, I don't actually remember Richard Dreyfuss. Who is that? I'm not super familiar.
I gave up something I loved and had loved since I was 9 years old, only for something else I loved as much, which was saving my country.
Oh my God, is he like a far-right nutcase now? I know the name, I think, but I don't know who this guy is at all.
And I firmly believe that if we don't revive the study of civics, we will be dead before 2050.
That may be true. Children should most definitely learn civics in school. That should be mandatory. Aside from that, Republicans have been doing everything they can to push civics out of the classroom. They want an uneducated population. They even say they discourage kids from going to college or higher education of any sort. I don't know what else to do with that. Like, it's plain as day here. Republicans are desperate to get people to stop learning, stop like going to higher education classes, or stop educating themselves in general. Republicans have been desperate for that for like ever. And why? Because they know that an educated population won't vote for their obscene, ridiculous ideas. But aside from that, it's weird to me that, who is this guy? Richard Dreyfuss is saying that, like, we should be teaching civics. That's definitely outside of, like, the Republican talking points.
We'll have the same name.
Long before.
And it'll be a nightmare. So, I had led a blessed life. And I gave it up for a blessed life. And I think that this book is not perfect.
I think your mom's not perfect, but she's okay. She'll do.
But boy, is it Richard. And it infuriates me that people don't understand what this place means, what an advance on human progress this country is all about, and how quickly we can abandon it.
Dude, what's this guy even talking about for that, Matt? I'm trying to get a grip on what he's trying to communicate, but I'm having a hard time here.
Without a second thought.
Wow, so good. Of course, Richard Dreyfuss is referring to his book in that clip. That was with Glenn Beck. By the way, programming note, we're working on getting Glenn back on here real soon. But Lance...
Glenn Beck is terrible. He has been the perpetrator of some real stochastic terrorist acts. Absolutely ugly, disturbing, disgusting stuff. So yeah, he's terrible. But that's who he was interviewing with just now, was Dreyfuss, that Dreyfuss guy, and Glenn Beck.
You felt he wasn't just delivering a line there. This is what Richard really, he believed. I mean, that was a very emotional, power-packed moment there that he shared on camera.
This is the Hollywood secular left, and what is he saying? He's saying that there's a lot of liberals in America, Gene.
This is the Hollywood secular left. Wait, is he saying that this Dreyfuss guy is left-wing, is like a liberal? Doesn't seem like it.
That you don't have to be an evangelical to love America. You just have to be enlightened to the fact that America in history is a unique nation, unlike any other. We are the restraining force in the world. With all of our flaws and all of our illness, we're the only thing that's keeping China from doing what it would love to do with Taiwan, and South Korea and North Korea from going to war. We restrain Iran. We hold the Middle East together, and it's a...
And this is evangelicals that are doing all this, right? Yeah, evangelicals are the ones protecting us from Iran and North Korea and so on and so forth, right? Okay, go on.
Courts, When the United States goes down, the tribulation goes into high gear. That's why a lot of us are looking at this moment and saying, oh my God, we're living in the end times. I sure hope that America has more time left. And God is saying to us, it's not the time for America to go down. But what have we been on since Trump came on the scene, Gene? You know this for a fact. We do news analysis. We were all preachers. We were revivalists. When I did Seven Mountains and I met Trump, I never thought I was going to get involved with economics. You could be talking about lifting the debt ceiling tonight, the Electoral College, about, the way in which the balance of power works. All of those factors in our country are the civic story of Christianity prayed out in the American history. America didn't happen as a secular enterprise. It was a Holy Spirit initiative worked on by God and praying pioneers who shaped the nation.
Praying pioneers, okay.
Experimentally, imperfectly, but my gosh, the most blessed country in the world with the highest standard of living, the greatest degree of freedom, the most powerful religious force in the world. In the 50 years since World War II, that is a phenomena that God did. That wasn't done by some bureaucrats in Washington. And we can lose it if we don't understand the civics lesson. That's why I really like what Richard said. We've been getting a civics education in the body of Christ since Trump came on the scene, because God wants us to know what was done for us so we don't let it slip away on our watch.
And that's why we're talking about civics in Pensacola in all of our meetings.
Right. So earlier they mentioned they're holding some big event in Pensacola, Florida. That's why he mentioned Pensacola.
That's why you need to be there. All right, we're going to take a break. Look at this. I got a list of Americans, people in your government that are attending the World Economic Forum.
Oh, give me a break, dude. The World Economic Forum is just this weird little NGO that has ideas for, like, bettering the world. That's it. God, they have to create a conspiracy about everything, don't they? They believe that the WEF, World Economic Forum, is like the source of the Great Reset conspiracy, which, God, if you want to know what that's about, it's complicated. I don't even know how to explain it. It's an all-encompassing conspiracy theory that claims that, like, I don't know. I don't know. Just imagine everything that QAnon claims in one big conspiracy theory. And it's all validated by the claim that, like, Justin Trudeau actually said it's time for a great reset. Well, yeah, he did, but he wasn't referring to the fucking conspiracy theory. Really, they will fall for anything, honestly. They will fall for anything. It's embarrassing at this point. Anyway.
That list may surprise you. We talk about that much more. Sheriff Mark Lamb from the border. We're going to check in with him. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Jesus Christ, dude. These people are nuts, honestly. Absolutely nuts. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more stuff like it. I'm honestly, like, fascinated by what these people have to say because it's so bizarre.